The Pittsburgh Steelers have made it official and are signing wide receiver Marquez Valdes-Scantling per Jeremy Fowler of ESPN. Fowler reported last week that the veteran receiver would be heading to Pittsburgh, and now the two sides have come to an agreement. Valdes-Scantling spent 2018-21 with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, catching 13 touchdown passes in that span. The NFL trade deadline is Tuesday at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, meaning the Steelers have less than 24 hours to make a trade for another pass catcher or impact defender to aid them in the second half of the season as they make a push to win the AFC North and host a playoff game. While some teams made big moves to enhance their playoff possibilities, the division-leading Steelers stood pat and did not make any moves before Tuesday's 4 p.m. trade deadline. The Steelers spent the past 2 days talking with other teams about trade possibilities, but either the asking price was too high or they simply weren't inclined to make a deal. Those talks included trading one of their own players to acquire a draft choice. The Steelers have acquired a number of mid-round picks for the 2026 draft, and they were not interested in trading those away unless a deal became a necessity because of injury. After acquiring safety Kyle Duggar last week because of the injury to Deshaun Elliott, the Steelers weren't interested in bringing in another outside player to add to the secondary after signing or trading for 5 defensive backs in the offseason. Other teams, though, made moves to make a second-half push to strengthen their playoff position, none bigger than the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts, who are tied for the league's best record, 7-2, even after their 27-20 loss to the Steelers on Sunday, gave up 2 number 1 draft choices and receiver Adonai Mitchell to acquire All-Pro cornerback Sauce Gardner from the New York Jets. Gardner is the highest-paid cornerback in the NFL. The Jacksonville Jaguars, 5-3, who are currently the number 7 seed in the AFC, acquired wide receiver Jacoby Myers from the Las Vegas Raiders for 4th and 6th-round draft choices to improve a passing game that has produced just 9 touchdowns. Myers was the wishful target among Steelers fans, but the likelihood of adding a receiver at that price was not very good. The Jets, 1-7, went the opposite direction, parting ways with Gardner and Pro Bowl defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, who was traded to the Dallas Cowboys for a second-round pick in 2026, a first-round choice in 2027, and defensive tackle Motzie Smith, a former top pick. The Jets now have 5 first-round picks over the next 2 years. The Pittsburgh Steelers have released quarterback-turned-wide receiver John Rhys Plumlee after signing him to the practice squad a week ago, the team announced. Plumlee signed with the team as an undrafted free agent but labeled as a quarterback a season ago before turning into a wide receiver full-time. Plumlee was cut by the Seattle Seahawks in September, and since that time, he had not found another home until the Steelers picked him up. Plumlee signed a contract with the Seahawks after the Steelers let him go last season, and even was elevated for his NFL debut in Week 18. Plumlee had been working as a quarterback and wide receiver across 3 teams. However, the Seahawks are the first team to use him as exclusively a wide receiver. Plumlee wanted to try and be a quarterback first, but as a plus athlete and with good size, teams have been more interested in making him a wide receiver. Plumlee signed with the Steelers as an undrafted free agent out of UCF because they promised him a chance to play quarterback. Throughout the rest of the training camp, Plumlee would get time as a quarterback, work as a kick returner, and plug in as a wide receiver. Yet, after the Steelers cut him during their final cutdowns, Plumlee had multiple offers and decided to head to Jacksonville rather than stay in Pittsburgh. With Jacksonville, he worked strictly as a quarterback. Blink and you might have missed DK Metcalf's contributions for the Steelers on Sunday, and Ben Roethlisberger doesn't want that happening again. Metcalf only saw 4 targets against the Colts, catching 2 passes for 6 yards. He did have a drop, but Roethlisberger insisted that would not deter him, especially in the red zone. The discussion developed on Roethlisberger's Footballin' podcast in regard to the Steelers' early failed drive on which Aaron Rodgers threw to Darnell Washington incomplete on 4th down at the goal line. While Rodgers made the necessary throw that Washington wasn't ready for, Roethlisberger thinks the ball should have done to Metcalf. "If you want to throw it, then throw it to your monster down there," he said, referring to Metcalf. And there's nothing against Darnell Washington, but Aaron Rodgers, feeding him a lot. He added that he would be slamming the ball to DK. All day. All day. The Steelers traded for DK Metcalf early this offseason to be their undisputed number 1 WR. He has been, but he is also not overwhelming with gaudy numbers. Through 8 games, he has 29 catches on 47 targets for 467 yards. The big selling point is, of course, his 5 touchdowns, most coming in the red zone, including 2 touchdowns from the 2-yard line, and Sunday should have been another. They ran a double slant route, and I was screaming on the snap, "DK," Roethlisberger said, watching Metcalf on the play in question. And he puts it on Washington. DK's expecting that ball. Mount Washington wasn't expecting the ball. You saw it hit him, right in the chest. It was a great throw. You know Metcalf's ready for it. And he won on the inside slant. Shorter, quicker throw, he insisted. And he also insisted that Metcalf's drop wouldn't have fazed him, either. Roethlisberger's history as a player does back that up. The plays he makes make up for it, he explained. DK Metcalf is seeing nearly career lows in yards per game with the Steelers, the 6-yard effort on Sunday obviously cutting into that. He is also seeing, by far after his rookie year, the fewest targets per game of his career. Right now, he is on pace to see just 100 targets, catching 62 for 993 yards. But he is also on pace for 10 to 11 touchdowns, which isn't a bad trade-off. Still, Metcalf is the type of player to whom you feed the ball. The Steelers are not doing that. He has only seen 7 or more targets in a game 3 times and has yet to see 10. And there really isn't any indication that that will change the season. But it works more often than it doesn't, so why fix what isn't broken? The Steelers improved to 5-3 with a win over the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday, a game that helped rid the bad taste out of their and our collective mouths. The win helped them maintain a 2-game lead in the AFC North over the Baltimore Ravens. But the big story today is the NFL trade deadline, which has a 4 p.m. Eastern Time cutoff. The Steelers have already been involved on multiple fronts, including a deal with the Patriots for safety Kyle Dugger just last week. Dugger played 76 of a possible 77 snaps for the Steelers on Sunday. During his weekly Tuesday afternoon press conference via the team's YouTube channel, Tomlin addressed his team's plans. "We'll see what happens," Tomlin said with a grin. "I like shopping." Tomlin notes that teams in the hunt usually add pieces this time of year. "I just know that if you're trending in the right direction and you have a desire to be in this thing as the road gets narrow, usually you're open to adding talent that can assist you," said Tomlin. The Steelers were reported to have interest in trading for Jacoby Myers, but the former Raider was dealt to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Other names such as Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and Jalen Waddle have all been floated as being available via trade.